So, I've been playing the new Halo game, and after finishing the main campaign, I can honestly say that I had a great time playing it. Performance for me was pretty solid on my PC overall. Only experienced a few frame hitches throughout my playthrough and had one crash, which, let's be honest, isn't ideal, but it wasn't enough to ruin my experience. But one strange issue I kept running into every time I launched the game, it asked me to sign in to the Microsoft account over and over and over. I'm gonna have to keep like scanning the QR code, clicking the link. I'm not sure if I'm the only one who's having this issue, and if you're also having this issue, please let me know in the comments, because I've been dealing with this thing like since the game launched. Like every time I launch the game, I have to re-sign back into my Microsoft account. But I digress, right? Overall, I had a lot of fun with this remake. While I don't think it's as good as the original Halo Combat Evolved, I still think it's one of the better things to come out of 343/Halo Industries in quite a while. You can tell there's a lot of care put into recreating the world while making it more approachable for newcomers to the franchise, right? But with that being said, I do have quite a few criticisms. One of the biggest things for me is the voice acting, very specifically Cortana. It's not that the voice actress did a bad job, but it feels like it's the voice direction. It feels off in certain scenes, and the same thing for Master Chief with Steve Downes. Instead of sounding more reserved and I guess analytical compared to the original Cortana, she comes off across as more like the Weapon from Halo Infinite, a bit more upbeat and a bit more Marvel-esque in her tone, if that makes sense. It isn't terrible, but if you play the original, you can really notice the difference in it. My second major issue is enemy AI. Compared to the original Halo, the enemy feels noticeably less intelligent. And for example, right, like, there are a few situations where I'd walk in front of an enemy, and they wouldn't see me. And also had a few issues where, like, I don't know, they like, especially with the hunters, like, usually they're supposed to, like, if you get too close, they're supposed to, swing at you. So that way their backside is exposed, but in my experience, they would just keep their shields up the entire time and not swing at me at all. And there's a lot of, like, just little small weird behaviors. I'm not sure if it's because of the Halo Reach AI or whatever they're using, but the AI isn't really making smart decisions here, and it pulled me out of the experience quite a few times. And also, some audio feels a little inconsistent. Some sound effects seem quieter than what they should be, while others feel like they're missing entirely. Like, for example, there were times when I'd melee an enemy and wouldn't hear the impact sound at all. Instead, I'd only hear the grunt as the enemy died. It's a small issue, but little audio bugs like that can make combos feel less satisfying and not as impactful, right? Another thing I noticed is that the enemy balancing, especially on hard difficulties like Heroic and Legendary, almost feels like it's tuned up in terms of enemy numbers. Because, like, the lack of intelligent enemy AI, I guess they try to make up for it with more numbers, more enemies. It was just like, instead of making the AI smarter, they simply throw more enemies at you. Honestly, can't remember if the original Combat Evolved did that exact same thing, where, like, say on Heroic and Legendary, you'd face more enemies. But this just feels a little off in that regard. And honestly, it felt a little frustrating more than challenging. And outside of those issues, most of my complaints are really just nitpicks. Like, for example, I think there's a little too much HUD on the screen by default. From, like, the weapon markers, the UI hints, the way just the whole thing is just, a little too much. How, like, the bullets for your gun kind of protrude out of the little box where the weapon is housed on the HUD. But you can adjust all these things. I don't think you can adjust the bullets protruding out too much from the HUD screen, but you can turn off the weapon markers, you can turn off tutorial, you can change the size of your crosshair, you can have it lowered if you want to. You can change the position of the radar. All that stuff kind of negates the criticism I would have had if it was not able to edit it like that. So, but I appreciate level customization, regardless. And where I think the remake absolutely shines the most is in its visuals, the atmosphere, and the gameplay. The environments look fantastic. The lighting it enhances a lot of what the mood for each level, especially the 343 Guilty Spark. It's not a super bright mess like Anniversary anymore. It's actually dark and very spooky. There's blood everywhere, and it's just overall just amazing. And well, there are a few situations where, like, I feel like some of the original's lighting and design was lost in translation. And I see a lot of people comparing it to like the Forerunner structures don't look as concrete as they used to. I personally don't mind the more metallic, shiny look, but it doesn't. I can get the criticism that it doesn't look like it's been there for thousands of years. It still looks kind of clean. Just like a little bit of sand sprinkled on it here and there, but it doesn't really bother me all that much. But that is a thing that I've seen people talk about and worth mentioning. But despite those criticisms, the core gameplay still feels like Halo. Weapons are fun to use. The sandbox is still very enjoyable. And while I wish they brought in some of the weapons, like the BR and the other like weapons they added to the main campaign, yes, they did add like the energy sword, the pure white cannon, and the needler rifle to the main campaign. The other weapons that they that I think are in the prequel missions, I wish were added into the main campaign. And from what I understand, the only way you can play with those weapons in the main campaign is just in the remix mode. I digress, man. The campaign really does capture that essence of exploration and mystery that made the original so memorable for me. And having to collect the skulls, I think, is really cool. So, like, I have a reason to go back and replay through those missions. And it's just really fun. But I do think this remake is probably aimed for people who never played Halo before. And in that regard, I think it can succeed pretty well. It's a new way for new players to experience one of gaming's most iconic campaigns. However, I think if you're someone who wanted almost a one-to-one, very faithful recreation of the original, I think you may end up feeling disappointed with some of the changes they made here. But even with all those criticisms, I really enjoy my time with the remake. It's not perfect by any means, but it's a fun return to Halo, and I think a pretty decent first Halo game from Halo Studios. I'm still planning to finish the prequel missions, haven't done that yet. And if this video does well, I'll definitely make a follow-up review covering those as well. But let me know what your thoughts of the remake down below in the comments. Just keep it kind and civil. I'd love to hear if you agree with my points or not. What was your experience? And with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked it, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.